Hello, are you there?
This is a Pyramid One International Network presentation.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hi!
Good evening, and welcome to Conscious Speaks. Let me tell you a little about the host. Her name is Kellie J Wright. You all know her. Tonight, be a part of the conversation. What it means to truly love yourself. Free of judgment, fear, ego, pride, and jealousy. She says, we learn to undo what we have accepted or taken on as part of our perception of self. We are free from negative self-talk. Start a 90-day transformation, and she will assist along your journey. Whenever two or more are in his presence is how this works. Kellie's ebook is how she walked her mind out of doubt and fear, one blog at a time for 13 weeks, into loving and acceptance of self. The first step is the hardest, and it will become a way of life. Once we know we can free our thoughts from fear, the work becomes a staple item to the goodness it provides. Life is a gift. So make sure you choose to wrap yours in a world that is created by and lived on your terms. Kellie J Wright is a successful radio show host, self-love transformational guide, business owner and voice, and author at www.internaljourneys.com. Kellie is on a passion-filled mission to help individuals discover their own truth through her actualized process called the 90-Day Transformation. Now, may I introduce to you, the audience, to the entire world, to the universe, to the light, Kellie J Wright.
Well, that's a beautiful introduction, Bob.
Well, there you go.
I am a little beside myself this afternoon.
Are you really?
Yeah, I started radio on accident. Oh, nothing's really an accident, but I stumbled into it almost 6 years ago, a little bit, and I fell in love with it. And it's become a place for me to naturally grow out loud my journey. I haven't done it in a while. You've had me on your show a couple times, but I haven't had a show to live and grow out loud with and share a platform with others for about 3.5 years now.
Well, there you go. Now we're throwing you out there to the public. Okay? We're tossing you out to the world. Like, hey, you know?
You know, I like to leave things to the natural flow of life. I really feel like the only time that we live in is real time, but when we're not participating in real time, we're in that alter universe out here thinking, and then halfway in between. So I did what I always do, and I wanted this first show to be sort of just an unwinding and like a place marker. Like I'm going to put a place mark in the space airwaves of time here at Pyramid One to say, here I am.
Well,
and I'm ready to go.
Well, here you are. This is your pilot. Now,
Yeah,
a pilot is where you introduce yourself. all of it, your feelings, what you do, what you did, why you did it, the who, what, when, where, how, and why, and all that good stuff. And also explain to everybody, which I do on my other show, and that what is on your mind. On that show, and that I explain to people that there is only one time, and that time is now.
Now. I knew you were going to say that.
If you're going to do anything, do it now. If you're going to think, don't ever turn around and say, well, maybe I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it later, or, I thought about that, but I'm not sure. All these things show me, if I was talking to you, that you're not sure of who you are. Right. And when you identify yourself as being I am or you are, bam, we got it.
You're right there.
You've done all of the above.
Yeah, I have. It's been such a fascinating journey. I was going to do the radio show about 6-7 months ago, and some other things came up that took precedence. And now I'm here at Pyramid One Network radio station, which to me is a big deal. And I can't get around the synchronicity of it all. And I had a pilot for the other show. We had the intros and the outros. We had the first 2 shows in the can. We were getting ready to move forward. And then that stopped. And it really showed me, instead of getting upset, I had Don Miguel Rose Jr. as my first guest. And then we had Richard Casaro, who of The Missing Link, who's an author and writes about triptych findings all over the world, and how he's connecting that there was one world religion before, and going through all the pyramids and ancient sites. And he has this fabulous work that he's done. And so I was really excited. And then the show came to a stop. And in between the last 6 to 7 months, I realized, especially after being a guest on your show, that I really wanted to do a talk radio show where people could call in and talk to me, and not make it a show where we schedule guests and that we set up this whole, I'm going to read your book, I'm going to quiz you, or not quiz you, but we're going to chat. I wanted it to be in real time. I believe in real time, which you call now, I call real time, semantics, right? I even have it tattooed on my wrist. If you live in the now, you've already won, because if you flip now around backwards, it says one.
Ladies
and that was given.
She really does have it on her wrist. She's not kidding you. I'm looking at her picture, and you can, by going to Pyramid One Network landing page in the next 24 to 48 hours, you can watch this show on the video dead center in the middle of that page. And you can also see it on YouTube. So there you go.
Yeah, you'll see us. And if you haven't seen my branded wrists, literally, that's a big commitment in life. I'm going to put that out there. I have my first tattoo. Well, this is how we do it at Eternal Journey, so we go in the flow. I had my first tattoo when I was 18, or actually 21, and I still hid it from my mother because I was so shocked. I knew my mom was going to go over, out of her mind. And so I had it on my shoulder, an angel, and Archangel Michael, and it's from the Gideon Bible, these sketches, and it's gorgeous, and it looks like a bird now. It cracks me up. But I knew I wanted to get more tattoos at some point, but I take a long time to commit to something like that, so it's personal, literally a long time. And I ended up, I tattooed my logo on my wrist, on my arm, right where you bend your arm. I didn't know where to put it, but my tattoo artist did, and it's really beautiful because I wanted to tattoo my rite of passage. When we do such deep work as a transformation journey that we do in the transformation work that I guide, we really change our life in a way. But again, we are operating on different universes, multi-universes here. So to be in real time, you might forget in a normal day some of the things you've learned, how far you've come, what you've fought for, the transitions you've made in your life. So I decided to put my logo on my arms. And I always knew that eventually I would put now and one on my wrists. Because they are, anytime I look down at my arms, anytime I'm praying, anytime I'm looking, I see my badges of honor that show me the work that I've done internally that I could never show anyone through anything else but my actions of being love being a kinder person, being not tearing myself apart or not abusing myself, or just finding myself and learning how to really be in my body versus just being ran by it. So that whole living in the now, which is the whole journey, which you said, this is your chance to tell your story. It's your pilot. And the pilot show really is, it's going to be a call to humanity. I really do feel that I want to create with you and Pyramid One this space, a call to humanity where people can come find out what it means to be awake. What are people talking about when they hear conscious, collective conscious? What's consciousness? The truth is, we could psychology, spiritual psychology. Everyone can connect to something, but words are very defining. And so, but yet they are very askew because I always say that we've mutilated the English language. It's the only one I know truly, so I can't say that about any other language. But people are not hearing each other when we speak anymore because we all have our own internal dictionary and we all have our own places that we hang out, but we all create our own language in anyways. So you've got people talking to each other that truly can't, that you think someone knows what you mean because they're nodding or they're agreeing, but we don't know what's going on in that internal dictionary inside of them, what it's connected to. That really is where the real conversation is. What comes out of our mouth is not the real conversation.
Let me give you something to ponder on here. Look what's going on around the world right now. We, or you, are the... how would you say it? The raft. The place to save yourself. Too many people are going over the edge. I mean, I listen to it all day. I mean, just so that everybody knows, Rush on TV, on the radio. I listen to him every day. He's a brilliant man. He's got a lot to say. He knows what he's talking about. And he really talks... the reason why I listen to him is the same way I would talk, and that if I was on the radio doing a show like his. But I don't dabble in politics. I just don't. And that if I was to do anything, I would not be one side or the other. I'm neutral. That's what a real, true broadcaster and somebody who does, more or less take somebody apart on the radio as an interviewer. What you do is you don't try to step in either the right or the left. You try to stay in the middle all the time so that you can bring out to people listening the best of right and the best of left. Let them decide. That's what your audience is. They're going to decide what they want to do, where they want to go, what they want to do with their life. How much are their 2 feet standing on the ground and saying, I am here, to the world?
Really, that's what it's basically about, because really there's a radio show going on inside everyone's head all day. Whether we've acknowledged that or not, it is. We are stimulated by anything that we put in front of us, whether it's our food, our TV, our entertainment, our news. We're stimulated by whatever we've kept in our internal memory banks and our cellular memory banks. Everything that we've got is being affected by what we provide it. So we've got this show, this movie, this platform going on inside of us that if we aren't aware that we can actually reprogram it, we can wipe the slate clean, then we might be really just kind of following along as a supernumerary, like a non-speaking role sort of in this whole play that's going on inside. And anything that comes out of our mouths before we've done that kind of internal check might not actually be what we mean. We work on that a lot in the second transformation. I created a whole transformation process that's a 4-step process to self-love mastery. And the second part is the second 90-day transformation is completely geared around working with our internal dictionary. The one that we know we have, the one that we don't know we have, and the one that's literally a part of our memory. There are definitions to feelings that aren't even cued in a memory that's audio. It might be a feeling, it might be a sense, something that comes across and it's queued us up right there. I was taking a walk today with Freya, and I walked through a warm patch of air, and it's really cold up here in the mountain. And I thought, whoa, where did that warm patch of air right there come from, right? And even if you walk and you smell a scent or something, that opens up a whole nother internal dialogue. And all that's happening while we are in the now, why we are I aming it or I am not in it, right? Mm-hmm. To be present is really the whole journey. When you talked about jumping off raft, I can't remember exactly what that was about, but I think something around the edge of the raft. I was thinking I was definitely never in my raft. My whole life I was really interacting through everything that I could to keep myself entertained in this high functioning level of every day is a party. Every day is to get dressed up. It's a party and participate and don't miss a minute. Mm-hmm. And you know, you could call it aging out, you can call it transformation work, you can call it trying to find peace, internal peace. I think depending on where you are in life and what you're going through, if it's meant to be your journey, all those things can or cannot happen. I know that I definitely was aging out of my alcohol and drug use. I used to party. Every day was a party. And you live in a mind there. When I realized the vision blocks it had on it, the emotional blocks that it had on it, because I wasn't able to see how me just being me was literally affecting the others who I love in my life. It was a pretty big awakening. When I fell to my knees and wrote the book, I was really at the end of another failed relationship, but everything in my life I was always very sure of was a symptom to a root cause. It's how I believe. Something's happened internally along the way. We've taken in or taken on something along the way that when we didn't have the tools to know better, we became our own best healer and figured out how to move through life. And that looks different on everybody. And so whatever life raft we gave ourselves, whether it was learning to be invisible and not be seen, a wallflower, whether it was to be boisterous and flamboyant, to shock and awe, whether it was, you know, whatever group or wherever we went to go find our solace that we couldn't provide for ourselves inside. Internally, we were blocked. We couldn't provide comfort. We weren't shown how to do that. And we look outside of us. So I think there's a point in life that if everyone took this look, and it would change the frequency of life astronomically. We're ran by fear only because I believe fear is unrealized love. I guarantee you, anybody, if you show me I can help you trace back your fear to a point that was unrealized love. And once we realize where that came from, we could flip that switch back and then start internalizing and giving that love to ourselves. And so once we could start doing that, we start freeing the door to realizing that we really can be love. I mean, it sounds silly. Someone says, oh, you have to be love. You know, you just can't love. You have to be love. And even when you know what that sounds like, I'll guarantee you, until you have that epiphany, until you have that awakening, till you get that experience with realizing the oneness of true love, true agape love. My arms, all the hair standing up on my arms, that real love that comes just through us from spirit. We don't know that we're not. We don't know that we can be love. We think it's something that we need to find. We think it's something we need to buy. I know because I did it. And I know because
we all do it. What? I mean, what you're talking about. I mean, you gave me goosebumps. But the thing is, you know, people don't. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the way we're built or the way we're constructed or something. People don't realize that real love. Well, I mean, real love isn't the kind of stuff that you jump up and down on the table for. It just is. I mean, it just. I mean, it's like if you.
My arms are going.
It's like peanut butter and jelly. Pow! You know, it's there. I mean, it's like the best thing that ever happened. You can be with somebody for 5 minutes and know that you'll be with that person for the next 500 years.
Right.
That's real stuff.
It's real stuff, and it's also can be very ugly. I like to say that when we really love, it can be really ugly.
No,
And
no,
that's the most beautiful part. That's the most beautiful
understand.
part, because you get to be yourself and you get to try and see and work through all these things that you didn't know were there, that are blocking you from being that peanut butter and jelly, right? You're almost there. You're 75% there. You're like,
Exactly.
I got this. I'm doing good.
Well, now you got to eat it too, so
But yeah, and too, and I'm going to say something to you, because I don't want to interrupt, because I know you want to say something, but to eat it, I'm going to definitely say you have to eat it, because we are living, breathing things. You have to eat those words, those verbs. You have to, I have a whole theory behind verb cake. I love cake. So I was talking to my old creative director, Jackie, and I was like, Jackie, I'm going to write a book on verb cake and how we speak to ourselves. People are doing it all over, but that was my twist on it. Affirmations, words that we just eat and we let them resonate within us. That becomes our state of being. That becomes our love, versus pain, sorrow, fear, rejection. And I'm telling you, it's not the hardest thing to do in the world to change those words in those dictionaries, but it takes dedication, and it takes having to be able to laugh at yourself, to look back at some of the things that you've done and realize, holy cow, that wasn't that didn't feel good. I'm sure when you start to look at some of the ways that you used to interact with yourself and others, you can be very amazed. I had moments where I was just like, wow, yeah, okay, that's what I used to do. And once you know, though, you have to do better. You have to do better what you know.
What I was going to throw in there was a relationship. All right, you meet somebody or something like that. Okay, I'm in love with that person. Okay, boom. So there's the word out there and that. But you got to have the feeling, though, too. I mean, let's face it. When you get it, your knees get weak, or you turn around, you look at a person, and you can't not take your eyes off that person for some reason, because you think about that person. And all that good stuff, you know what I mean? It's like X-ray, and it just goes out there. Don't forget, a relationship, you can be in love. I mean, look, I love my dog. I mean, my radio dog. I mean, it's like, he's the best buddy in the whole world, and he don't talk back. But the other thing is, a relationship is built. You can have, once you have the spot or the land to put a house on, you have to build that house. I love that. So the love is the land. Okay, now I got the land. Now what am I going to do with it? Well, now you got to build on it. Building on it is the hard part, because you have to use screws, or nails. You have something that never comes out or never stops or never will stop, or something that could slip out just a little bit. So you got to fix it and put it back in again, and repair the relationship. And this kind of stuff happens over and over and over. I mean, I've been using this as an analogy. And
you are. Goes on. I'm pinging all over with some things I want to add to that. I love love, right? It used to be what I thought I was seeking, and I found out it's completely something else. For my spiritual practice, and from what my belief system is, really, and any of my clients could tell you this, or anyone who's followed long enough, I flip everything. I'm flipping it in a way that hasn't been flipped before, and I'm not even going to talk about those flips, but the flip even in a lot of spiritual practices is, if you meet someone and you feel that intense energy, it might not actually be love. We might think it is. There's a chemical balance that we have to process, and I talk about this in the innate journey. But when we immediately, I like to liken it to when we immediately have these connections, that there's soul memories coming to the surface, right? We don't have to always jump on everything that our human body is cued to believe is a lust or desire, or it might just be just that awakening of knowing someone. And knowing someone can literally be more fulfilling than any of what we've taught love is supposed to be on this planet, when it has to do with that falling in love or that love at first sight. Those things, love to me has become so much different, because I used to be that person, and everything was around sex and love and intense, really, being there. And and because of my abandonment issues growing up, everything was like I needed a promise, a commitment before we even really met, that you were never going to leave. I didn't know that that wasn't about love. That was about me fearing being abandoned from love. And so we all are created in these ways through our life that I think is like a puzzle, a Rubik's Cube puzzle that's really supposed to be a fun thing that we get to undo. But for some reason, shame, fear, pride, fear, it doesn't want to allow us to seek out to heal those things, because it would rather just block us from feeling them, because if it blocks us from feeling them, then we don't have to be a part of that pain again. But in the duality of that is, if we're ever blocking fear, any mask that we put in, and some of these masks to block fear and pain were put in place when we were so young, we wouldn't even know they were there. We just don't know why our relationships aren't working out, right? We don't know about the repetition theory. We don't know about the Oedipine complex. I haven't went deeply into Freud's work, but those 2 points to me, the psychosexual development, how we take on things and we keep them, and then we're growing past processing them out, and how these parts of us become really our first code of self, our first book of self that we're running on. So we're running on this book of self that's put in place between the first 1 to 6 years of our life, let alone whatever's happening afterwards. And that's why I say in the first blog, it's like, we want to grow in. We want to find out who we were. We're going to draw a line in the sand, because we got to take a look backwards to figure out who did I become along the way. This wasn't all like what I planned to be, right? Mm-hmm. And we could be 85% there. I know someone's going to be calling in, and I hope that he does. Larry Snyder just sent a message. He's going to be calling in, Bob, right now, and I'm going to tell him yes to call in. And so what happens is, if we're operating a life that's really pretty good, but we just have some sorrow or some sad points, or we don't know how to get through some blocks, or we don't want to talk about that. Everybody knows not to talk to mom about that, or auntie about that. That's just too painful. Those parts, literally, if those parts could be undone, what it frees is that agape love, the love you're talking about, where you just like peanut butter and jelly. I like that. I think real love is peanut butter and jelly. I love peanut butter and jelly.
I don't
think it's all of the falling part anymore. Although I do believe in attraction. It's really a part of our human nature that we have to be. I've been attracted to someone mentally and haven't been able to pull it together physically, because we just have, our energies are in different places, as above, so below. It's really, really, it's not rocket science, but when you don't, I've studied this my whole life. I've been, since I was like a teenager, looking to get a way through me and through everything that I was told was the way to be, so I could figure out what else is out there. And so if your mental dictionary of yourself doesn't have enough cues to connect dots, you won't be able to, it will seem like it's rocket science, the work to free yourself from fear. But I guarantee you it's not, especially if you have someone to help you. And there's many people out there that are doing that. I think that's who's calling in today, is Larry.
Let me write this down.
I think that's got to be Larry. I think he's calling in. He had. I'm really excited to talk to Larry, because he reached out to me a while back about being on the show, and I said, let's get in touch. Please keep me in mind. Do me a favor, keep your eye on me and what's going on, and we'll make it work. So as soon as the show came up, he reached out again, and he has a book, and I'm excited to hear his spin on it, because again, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of people out there that would love to help people work out those little patches of fear that are blocked, so that they could shine bright in the hues of their own intentions, and to be like that agape love.
I'm just looking at this, because when he tried to call in on the other one, it wouldn't take his call. The one did.
Ah, good. Well, I gave him this number.
Hold on.
I gave him. He said his number's 206-407. Oh, I shouldn't say that all the line. Woo! There's Kellie J for you. He asked if we wanted to call him. He said we didn't answer. This is fun. Here it comes. I hear something.
I got it.
If,
I got it.
Oh, everybody, this is the pilot show for Conscious Speaks Radio, so here, just work with us.
Yeah, no, we're going to have to use the other one because Skype is putting a slam on that one, too.
Okay, what number should he call?
I'm going to get it. Hold on.
Cool.
Let me see.
If anyone out there is listening and would like to call in or has a question,
you can
definitely go to.
They can't call in because that's what's happening. But Skype is shutting them down.
Okay.
It didn't happen before because we had it running.
Ah.
But let me see.
Skype is protesting self-love.
They are, and it's driving me crazy. Let's see. Okay, we're going to do it this way.
I think that.
Yeah. All right, what's his number here? I got it. Never mind.
Okay, cool. We're in real time, people.
Yeah, we are.
Washington. You're in Florida. What part of Florida are you in again?
Lakeland.
I think we're literally on tip, like West Coast, we're on tip to tip.
Yeah, let me see.
My Bob is doing his magic. Anybody out there who's listening today, I just wanted to thank you so much for listening. It is something that when we do radio, we're not really sure sometimes, and I know some people will never know. Some people are going to listen and call in. Some people will write and say they enjoyed the show and do it later. I want to do a really big thank you to everyone who's out there. I want to just make an affirmation to Spirit to thank